You mentioned earlier about tools, and I know there's a lot of tools out there, and you talked about Alexander Osterwald, who obviously best well known for the business model canvas, and obviously the Clayton Christensen's Jobs to be Done. But kind of what's your approach in your learning and the evolution of this? What have you been working on towards that goal?
So, I mentioned earlier that I've been a long time operating executive, and part of what I'm conscious of is that I don't think there have been a lot of tools that are succinct enough, big picture enough, but specific enough to be valuable to an operating executive. I mean, for goodness sakes, they're busy. He or she is constantly doing things under all sorts of pressure points. They don't have time to go, look at all that information in the back. They just want to know something. Okay, how can I have some guidance? Is there a roadmap somewhere that can guide me, that's straightforward enough that I can do the right stuff, but not have to think about it in terms of am I missing something and so forth. So what I ended up coming up with, there's some great tools out there, and we've talked about some of the names of the really talented people that have come up with great ideas, but I came up with a GTM roadmap, and it's a 3x3 matrix. And it takes those three principles of product market fit, business model fit, and organizational fit, where the latter is the glue that holds the other two together. And it says, look, I want to have something that can be put on a single page, given to executives, and said, this can guide you. And so it's a clarity piece. It creates a shared language. So under product market fit, do you really understand your customers' unmet needs? Have you really clarified your critical assumptions? Do you have a compelling value proposition? On the business model, it may be less true for a really early stage startup because they're a single effort kind of company, but in time, a portfolio management mindset of, what are we developing and what do we have on the market? You need to be constantly thinking about life cycle related issues there of what's new, keep experimenting, bringing new things along, some of which will graduate to the market, some of which won't. And then the second category in the business model fit is digital enablement. There will be a digital play in any number of things, and you need to think about that. And then finally, there's the business model itself. And in the middle, Richard, you and I were talking about this the other day. I used to have in the middle box of the organizational fit, I called it adaptive mindset. And that's the title that's in the article that we've mentioned. And it's true, but it's sort of fluffy words. And I've been trying not to have fluffy words in this 3x3. And so I was listening to something, a talk by Hal Gregerson recently. And I've always loved, he and Clayton Christensen and Jeffrey Dyer wrote The Innovator's DNA, both an HBR article and a book. And what's so powerful about it is, and this is Gregerson's big theme, is asking good questions. And so the idea is, I renamed the middle box on the middle column, Innovator's DNA, out of respect for the idea that you need to lead with questions, you need to then observe and network and experiment, and then pull those all together with what he and they describe as associational thinking. That's a big, let's come back to that in a subsequent. Let me finish the 3x3. But then above that, I've got external inflection points, and beneath that, I've got internal checkpoints. So external inflection points is really builds on the theme that in a world where competitive advantages can be increasingly fleeting, you've got to keep your eyes on the horizon to see what might be changing so you can catch the trends before they become tsunamis. And then in the internal checkpoints, this is really builds on Rita McGrath's discovery-driven planning, which is, the focus needs to be on learning with these newer projects, especially the kind of startups that you have there in the cohort, which is that you can't guarantee anything, you can't predict. And so what you do is you identify the key assumptions you think about the future, what you believe and hope it'll look like, and then you back it up with a set of assumptions that you have these checkpoints where you review the status of the learning and turning the learnings, the assumptions into knowledge. And so that's a way to reduce the risk and guide projects as they come along internally. At the same time, you're keeping your external focus, and then you have this sort of questioning innovators DNA kind of mindset that's kind of at the heart. And there's a reason it's in the middle of the 3x3.